What's up, golf addicts? It is Tour Junkies after dark. Trust me, it's dark outside. I know it looks like I'm sitting here on my run. I'm looking at the freaking microphone again. I don't ever do that.
What's your problem?
Well, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I know it looks like I'm outside on the runway, but I'm actually not. It's actually dark. It's very dark. We've just finished the Valero Texas Open podcast. And here we are. We find ourselves on the interwebs of DraftKings for yet again another episode.
I've never seen you wear a visor, David. I don't like you in a visor. I think it's weird. You look funky in a visor. But we're going to do this thing the whole time with you in this. But, I mean, hey, look, if you want a Tour Junkies visor, go to Tour Junkies. Go to the new website, tourjunkies.com. Check out those visors. We got some white ones, too, which are pretty good.
It's a tour visor. You know, it's a tour visor. So it's got a... It's
oh look, there's the hair.
It's and also shout out, who lit the kids, boy?
Woo! Got him a victory this week. Beat the crap out of old Cheapo, El Cheapo, Matt Kuchar, Georgia Tech grad. You may think you're all the smarts with all the math stuff that they do at Georgia Tech, but guess what? You can't win at match play!
You're yelling. Lord, the peaks in Pat's microphone are unreal. Yeah, and also, not only did Kisner win, but you won. If you watched this show last week, we tipped him off at 66-1 on DK Sportsbook. You're welcome. There you go. Kisner, match play. Love it.
Thank you.
All right, Pat, we just finished the podcast for the Valero Texas Open. Let's talk about that real quick. The event it's we're ready for the Masters. You know, we're Augusta boys. We're ready for the Masters. The Masters is next week. It's going to be a fantastic show. Tons of great content coming out, not only on TourJunkies.com, but also DraftKings, the DraftKings Sportsbook. It's going to be fantastic. You want to get involved. Get involved. But we have to overcome the Valero Texas Open this week in lovely San Antonio at the Oaks course, par 72, a little over 7,400 yards. Can play difficult. Pat, what else do you have to mention about the golf course real quick before we get into the picks that we disagree on?
Yeah, I mean, real simple. This is a course where you got to hit fairways. They're definitely tough fairways to hit. You've got to hit greens. You got raised green surfaces here. So this is a ball striker's course. I mean, you look at the last 4 or 5 champions here. I mean, a guy like Andrew Landry, Kevin Chappell, Charlie Hoffman, Jimmy Walker, our boy Baldo back in 2014. All good ball strikers, not necessarily long hitters, but guys that are hitting fairways and greens. So that's going to be important this week. Yes, you got to score, but this is one of those par 72s where all the par 5s out here are very difficult. They're not all gettable. So I'm not necessarily looking at par 5 scoring, which I typically like to look at on par 72 courses. So we'll see what happens. But, the week before the Masters, going to be interesting. A weak field event. So I think you could take some chances in your GPP lineups this week.
Yeah, as always, when you're in Texas, too, you got to check the forecast. You got to check the wind forecast. It has been pretty dry here in San Antonio lately, so the course could play firm and fast, but the wind can definitely play a factor, and it has in recent history here at the Valero. So you want to check that out before you fully lock and load the lineups. But yeah, it can be a difficult golf course. I think anybody can win, short hitters, long hitters, ball strikers. You also got to scramble because you're going to miss these greens. You're going to have long approaches. The greens are, like Pat said, elevated and undulating. So you got to be ready to get up and down when you miss the green surfaces. All right, Pat. So we're going to talk about some disagreement that we had on the podcast just a minute ago. And we're also going to give you some DraftKings Sportsbook picks at the end of the show, just like we did last week, again, with Kevin Kisner at 66-1. Pat, where do you want to start, buddy? You want me to start? Or you want you going to start?
Well, I'd kind of like to start with the old guy, Jim Furyk.
I thought you were going to go there. Yeah.
Yeah, I just, he's at 9,600 this week. He's had a huge bump over the last few weeks. Because, look, I know he's been playing well. But I have a problem with playing him at that price this week. I just don't like it, and I want to hear what there are guys cheaper than him that I would much rather play, and I want to know why you're so high on him. I mean, I think you even said maybe you consider him in cash. I don't know, but I'm just not a big fan of old Furyk this week. And I say old meaning old, like not just like a saying like old Furyk.
Not
like,
old.
I mean old.
Yeah. I mean, I would absolutely consider him in cash. I think he's definitely in play for cash. I mean, looking on DK Sportsbook, he's 25-1. That's better odds to win Sungjae M, who's priced above him, and he's right in line with where he should be in terms of this field. So I don't think the value is off. I mean, he's not overpriced on DraftKings for DFS based on his odds to win. So I don't think it's poor value. But if you look at the stats, he's 25th in strokes gained around the green. He's second in greens in regulation. Obviously, he doesn't gain a ton of strokes off the tee because he doesn't hit it a long way. He's kind of a short knocker. But I mentioned the firm and fast conditions, and I think that could play to his advantage. I mean, you can't deny the form. The guy's gained 26 strokes in 3 events. The Valspar, where he finished 18th. The Players, where he almost won, finished runner-up. And the Honda, where he finished 9th. It's kind of, to me, it's kind of easy. Now, he played here last year, finished 26th. He's got another history, a couple of these events under his belt here in San Antonio prior to that. I think I'm going to have a lot of exposure to this 9K range. I think that's a reasonable spot in a weak field to start some lineups. Now, I do agree with you that you can get a little frisky this week. 156 players in the field, as you mentioned, 70 in ties make the cut. But I don't think I'm going to get too frisky up here. I like having a few of these 9K guys in my lineup, so I love Furyk for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, look, Furyk has obviously been playing really well lately. I feel like the price jump is just too much for me. I think that, if he was right under that, like maybe in the Graham McDowell, Abraham Answer range at that 8,900, I know this is a weaker field event, I'd feel a little better about him. But and he's a guy that, I don't know, in a field like this week, I'm not a big fan of him. So there you go.
Well, clearly you're not a big fan of him. You've said that about half a dozen times. But I don't understand why you're hung up on the price. It's a weak field event, so everyone is priced wacky. It feels like you're paying up for everybody. But as I mentioned, when you look at Vegas odds, the reason he's not priced down there with Graham McDowell is he's not priced as Graham McDowell is when it comes to winning this event. He's a shorter odds.
Is because if I'm going to pay up even anything over 9K, I just want a stud up here, and it's just not. He's not a stud to me. I mean, he's anybody else. He's like an 8K guy, 7K guy. 8K
so one guy that you mentioned that I don't want to play is what I'm guessing is what you're talking about, Matt Kuchar at 11-2.
He's definitely not an 8K or 9K guy.
Well, I mean, he's no spring chicken. He just played seven rounds in match play. Now,
whatever.
His best finish here was in 2014, which was a 4th. You're going to need him to match that at 11-2, and I just don't. I don't get it with Kuchar. And you mentioned him in cash, which is also absurd. I don't know why you would play him in cash in DraftKings. You don't have to. Don't do that. But yeah, I kind of think anybody in this 10K range, honestly, is kind of out of play. I'd rather load up on some of these guys that have a better chance of making the cut here, because no one in this field is really a stud. I mean, I think Ricky's a stud. Kuchar's having a great year. Yes, I give you that. But he's not the dominant player that we're usually talking about when we see this upper tier. So I don't think it's worth paying up for any of these guys. And Kuchar's one of them.
Well, I think Kuchar, here's the thing with him. I mean, yeah, he's coming off of a week where he's had to play, a lot more than anybody else, but that means what? That means he got to the championship of match play, so he was playing well there. And despite any of the controversy that had to do with the match play, the guy's just playing great golf. And I don't mind that 11-2 price. I think he can win this tournament, which if you're going to play him in cash, that's fine with me because I want him to win, obviously. And then you look at stats. I mean, my 4 favorite stats are ball striking, strokes gained approach, fairways gained. You've got to hit the fairways out here. If you're gonna play well on this course and score, you have got to hit the fairways. He is number 3 in the field when it comes to that. And then strokes gained around the green. If you're gonna miss these greens, which are very small, he's top 20 in the field there. So I think across the board, Matt Kuchar is basically the guy checking all the boxes. I love that this week. So I think I'll play him in GPPs or in cash. I'm fine with that. I think I'm comfortable with the guy. I can find some other lower price guys to fit in the lineup there at that 11-2 price range. I'm not playing the highest guy in Fowler. I'm off him. And I think Kuch is a really good play this week. And obviously this could be his 3rd victory this year if he wins this week. He could have won last week, and this would be his 4th victory. So he was only just, a couple holes away from winning? So, Kuch is on fire. I don't know what else can you say about Kuch? The guy's on fire. You can't, it's hard to bet against him right now.
All right, I do have some more disagreement for you on another guy. I'm gonna drop down. You mentioned him a little lower, and you always play this guy. You love him. You get on to me about my guys, but you have your guys too, and you love this dude, Bud Cauley. You love some Bud
Cauley, Alabama boy.
Will you stop yelling into the freaking microphone? Like, the people don't want their ears blown
Sorry,
out.
you got me all excited with Bud Cauley.
Turn away and yell that way. But Bud Cauley at $7,400, inconsistent. Yes, he's a good scrambler. He's great getting up and down, which I do think is valuable here. But that's really the only thing he does well. He's awful. He's like near the bottom of strokes gained off the tee, worse than Jim Furyk actually in strokes gained off the tee. And greens in regulation, he's like 57th in this field when you look over the last 24 rounds. Did have a top 10 here in 2017. That's the last time we saw him play. Missed the cut his other time out. But just inconsistent results out of Bud Cauley. I'm just can't gain strokes off the tee. And we know he's not a long hitter. So if he's not gaining strokes off the tee, it's length, it's accuracy. I think it's a little bit of everything. In his last 5 tournaments, he's lost 2 strokes off the tee. That's a lot. I'm out. Bud Cauley, 7,400. I know it's a value play. I think there's plenty of other value guys in the 7K that you can also get low owned. His last tournament, he was 9.5% owned. That's too much for Bud Cauley. 9.5 is too much.
What? Are you sure? Are you reading that correctly? I can't believe he would have been 9.5%.
He was 9.5% owned at the Valspar on average.
Okay, well, I don't think that's where he's going to be near percent. I bet he's half of that this week. And I'll if you want to bet something, bet $100 that he's half of that.
I don't actually. No, I think he will regulate back to where he should be, which is.
I bet he's at under 5% owned this week, which is one reason I like him. Bud Cauley he's just a super talented player. This is a course that fits his game. Yeah, you mentioned, actually, I do like that he finished top 10 a couple years ago in this event. So, of course, he's played well before. And last year, the reason he didn't play was because he got in that car accident and everything else that happened to him and had some problems. But he's been playing, well lately in a lot of events this year. Look, he's not going to win this tournament. But I think at 7,400, he's worth a good tournament play in your GPP lineup. So there you go. Look, and like you said, he's actually number 1 in this field in scrambling. So I think that's huge. If he misses the green, he's got a good chance here. This is a tough course. This is a sneaky tough course they got this week. So I like Bud Cauley, and look, it's not a guy that's going to be, I'm going to have a ton of lineups with, but I think he's worth a good flyer play.
All right. Any other Any other things to hammer me on, or are we going to Sportsbook?
Not a big fan of Jonathan Vegas. You're huge on Vegas this week, and I'm just gonna. I think he's gonna be way too. Look, I like Vegas. I like him. I think he's been playing great this year. I think this is a good course for him, but I think his ownership is going to be way too high for a guy that just doesn't really check the box. Really, when you look at his stats and everything else.
Whoa, huh? He does check the box. He checks.
Okay, here's where he checks the box in ball striking. 1. That's it. Guess what? He's 71st in the field in strokes gained approach. He's 94th in driving accuracy. If you poll any of the players out there this week, the one thing they're going to talk about that you have to do this week is hit fairways. Well, guess what? He's 94th in the field there. Don't like that. I can't, and then he's 42nd in the field and strokes gained around the green. And that's for a guy who's going to be extremely high owned. One of the highest owned guys in this field in that 8K range. I can't play some Vegas. I'd rather, especially in tournament lineups, I'd rather pivot off him to a guy like Abraham Answer. Even I'll even go with Yost Lowton over him.
Jeez. All right. So I think this needs to be clarified. So you're rattling off all these stats. Over how many rounds are you looking at these stats? Because I'm getting different numbers.
24.
Then you are not looking at the right thing, because you said he was 40-something in strokes gained around the green over the last 24 rounds. That is false. He is 6th in this field in strokes gained around the greens over the last 24 rounds. He is also 1st in strokes gained off the tee. Now, yes, a lot of that comes from distance, but you're not 94th in fairways hit and still able to finish first in strokes gained off the tee.
Around the green, 42nd.
Over the last 24 rounds?
Over the last 24 rounds.
You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong.
You're looking at plug in the right things on that left side of the column.
Yep, I got it. And he's 5th. And he's 5th in greens in regulation. He is absolutely. Now, his course history here is not good. I get it.
It's awful.
It's not good. Now, his recent form, he's gained 27 strokes in 4 events. 27 strokes in 4 events. He's arguably one of the hottest players to come in this, probably top 5 most hot players coming into this event, along with Sung J M, Kokrak.
If you play Vegas this week, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. You're going to lose.
Yeah, I am all in on Johnny V. I don't care how high he's owned. Yeah, I don't mind the pivots. I don't mind Abraham Answer. I'm
Answer. All in on losing money this week, so my name's David Barnett.
Oh, man. All right, let's get to some sportsbook plays, because you know who gave you money last week? David Barnett with Kevin Kisner 66-1, not Pat Perry. So, Pat, who are your sportsbook plays this week? Why don't you give the people some money?
All right, so let's go. This is what I like to do here, because actually I hate him in DFS because I'm not going to play him. But you know what? Sometimes I like to hedge the guys I don't play in DFS and maybe throw a little bet on them because I'm not going to play them in DraftKings, and that's going to be Johnny Vegas.
Shut up. That is so
Guess what?
stupid.
That's what I do. That's what I do. If I don't like him in DFS, hedge it.
That is so stupid.
33-1. 33-1 on the DraftKings Sportsbook. I may throw a few units in there.
You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Sometimes you got to hedge a little bit. And, it's all for the show. And then also, I got to say, I like Ryan Moore at 50-1. I think he's a good bet this week. Longer odds, some Roberto Castro at 150-1. I think he is a great play. JT Poston, another guy, 90-1, a guy that just kind of a plotter around the course, hits fairways, hits greens, has a great scrambling ability. I like some JT Poston, and he's got good recent form, or actually recent course history. He's finished T30 and T27 here, so JT Poston as well. And I'll give you a long shot. Scotty Scheffler, a guy that you and I saw in person last week at the Web.com event in Savannah. He finished 2nd, had a chance to win on the 18th hole. I'll take him at 125-1. Now, David, give us your picks, because you're the one and almighty great picker of everything, the great genie. You think you know it all, the smartest ass on the planet, and I must emphasize ass. So go ahead with your picks.
Well, great minds think alike. Apparently, you're wanting to ride my heater a little bit because I already had Johnny Vegas at 33-1. So I'm all in on Johnny V at 33-1. He's the shortest guy I got. I like two guys at 125-1 as well. You mentioned Scotty Scheffler, and I believe one other. I quit paying attention. You were yelling. But I like Trey Mullinax and Scott Stallings. Mullinax finished runner-up here last year, gagged it to Andrew Landry with literally a duffed chip that cost me lots of the monies. So finished runner-up. Had a good weekend in Corrales over in the Dominican Republic last week. 125-1, I like that. Scott Stallings, 125-1. Plays good on some tough golf courses. He's a good, grinder type of guy on tough courses. I like him at 125-1, a veteran guy, and playing really well right now as well. So those guys. And then just because I like him in DFS, we haven't talked about him on this show, but I like him in DFS, and I want to have a little action on him. I don't think he's going to win, but there's a top 20 bet on Hank Lebioda. I know you like him as well, on DraftKings at 12-1. So I like a little Hank Lebioda, top 20 at 12-1. Also like him in DFS at 6,400. You okay over there? Are you looking for something? You got an issue?
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. Okay. Everybody good? Everybody good? You good, David?
I'm good. Yes? I'm good. You good?
You need a drink?
I'm good. I think you're good, too.
All
right, there we go. It is the, what is this show? This is Tour Junkies After Dark for the Valero Texas Open. We will be back for the Masters. Fantastic show for the Masters. Can't wait. Look us up, tourjunkies.com. Check out the podcast. All the good stuff. Go get you one of these visors. This is a good visor right here. Golby says, may your screens be green. See ya!
Boom! See ya! Out!